Let's talk about dog whistles. Why? Because if we respond to them, we are less than ourselves. I'll explain what I mean by that as we go. Let's get started.
This is Sadie. After my wife, she's my best friend. Many of you will get that because you also have deep bonds with your pets. Let's start with the obvious. Sadie is a canine and I'm a sapiens. Scholars say canines and sapiens have evolved together for over 15,000 years. We have a synergistic relationship, but we can't get confused about our roles for the relationship to remain coherent. She must remain a canine, and I must stay a sapiens. Sadie can outrun, outsleep, outsmell, and outhear me. She can think critically and collaborate to solve problems. And Sadie is actually the most intelligent and loving canine in canine history.
I have only two advantages over Sadie. The first is that I can sweat, which means I can run a marathon and she can't. The second is that though we're both critical thinkers, I can imagine and manage relationships at very large scales, far more extensive than my pack and my family, and she can't. That's what makes me who I am. Indeed, I can collaborate with people I've never even met, people all across the globe, and create solutions to problems that all Homo sapiens face. A mature sapiens is always striving towards reconciled relationship with other creatures, striving to love one's neighbor as oneself, and collaborating at all kinds of scales in order that all may flourish. That's what makes us authentic humans. If I forget that and act instead like a dog, both Sadie and I get confused. I debase myself when I act less than human. Flourishing depends upon our acting according to our kind. Sadie is so bright that she can make associations and react on that basis later. For example, I can ring a bell every time I give her a piece of meat. Later on, I can simply ring that bell and she'll begin to salivate. Or, if I put on a shirt that she knows I usually run in, when I put on that shirt, she will run to the front door and block my way and insist that I take her with me. That's called a Pavlovian response. Which brings me to dog whistles.
A dog whistle works the same way. I can sound a dog whistle, and Sadie can hear that frequency and respond to it as if it were my voice. I can whistle in specific ways and cause her to react according to how I've trained her. Again, that's a Pavlovian response. The interesting thing about dog whistles is that other sapiens don't hear them. The sound is too high a frequency, so it's not audible to sapiens. But canines hear them. Sadie hears the dog whistle and has the inside knowledge that enables her to decode the sounds and respond exactly as I want her to. Because Sadie and I are in a pack leader, pack member relationship, I'm her master, I could control Sadie completely with dog whistles. That's a normal relationship between Sadie and me.
If I were to try to command you with a dog whistle, well, I would debase both of us. For ours is not naturally a master-slave relationship. Trying to command you with a whistle is not natural to our kind, for we are equal in our essential human dignity. And our mutual flourishing depends upon our acting according to our kind. Which brings me to the use of dog whistles in our politics. A dog whistle is a phrase or statement that appears to have a benign or ordinary meaning to most people, but in fact conceals a contentious or harmful meaning. That concealed meaning is intended for a particular audience who knows the code. And it's encoded because it's potentially harmful if not critically examined. And that lack of critical examination is actually the point, because it can't stand in the light of day. It's a way to secretly communicate with a particular group without drawing the attention of others. And it's a technique by which one appeals to views or beliefs that are unacceptable or even offensive if openly expressed. Dog whistles are commonly used in politics, and they're not always destructive. They become destructive when they cloak the subversion of American values from their intended audience. When they trigger reflexive responses without our being aware that we're being manipulated. So what is a dog whistle in politics? A dog whistle is a covert appeal to an unhealthy set of political attitudes that have to be disguised precisely because they subvert American values. Dog whistles are a form of Machiavellian politics that normally involve 3 steps. First, there is a subtly disguised message that can't stand in the light of day and therefore needs to be encoded. Second, if called out, the speaker denies having violated our core values. Third, when called out, the speaker attacks the one who called them out, usually accusing them of playing the victim card. Let me give you some examples. Politicians on the left sometimes use dog whistles to command the performance of disdain and condescension towards right-wing groups. For example, Hillary Clinton once used the famous dog whistle flyover country to refer to the people who live in America's heartland. The message, of course, was that the concerns of voters in America's heartland might legitimately be dismissed because they are not as enlightened as voters who live on the east and west coasts. The word rural is often used as a dog whistle in the same way. More subtly, saying that someone supported the 1990s crime bill that resulted in such high levels of black incarceration is another way of saying that someone is a racist without actually saying so. And on the right, since the 1870s, politicians have repeatedly used the communist, Marxist, socialist trifecta to name someone as America's public enemy number 1. The idea is to associate social welfare policies with communism and socialism and to command one's followers to rally to defend America against this great threat to the American way. We'll unpack the communism, Marxism, socialism trifecta in much greater detail in a future video. Similarly, mentions of George Soros or the Rothschilds or the word globalist or the word globalism are often right-wing dog whistles that are designed to appeal to centuries-old anti-Semitic tropes about a conspiracy of rich Jewish men who are conspiring to take over the world's finances to the detriment of all others. Dog whistles ask us to stop thinking critically. They ask us to stop being sapiens and to start acting like canines. They debase our politics and cause us to be less than we are called to be. What's the solution? Well, let's consider how dog whistles operate. Understanding the mechanics of dog whistles is crucial. They demand that we shut down our critical thinking and embrace Machiavellian claims. They demand that we abandon our collaborative imagining and regard others as enemies to hate rather than as neighbors to love. They demand that we regard the one holding the whistle as our master rather than our equal. They demand that we overlook the evidence that a charlatan sees us as a dog. Brothers and sisters, let's flourish together by acting according to our kind.